Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. Before we get started, be sure to check out my website, CorinneBlackstone.com. You can sign up for my free newsletter, check out my blogs, lots of fun stuff over there. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to design some really fun sublimation things with Canva using a free account. So you can do all these beautiful things for completely free. I'm going to show you how to make this really fun succulent design using some elements that they have. And then I'm going to show you how to make two different designs for some coffee mugs. Now this one is a color change mug, which you guys will get to see change color at the end. Really, really fun when you put hot liquids in it. It changes to white so you can see the image. And then we just did a fun picture on this one, and I'll show you how to set that up, get all your print settings done, and we're gonna make some really cool stuff. So let's get started. Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun. We are going to make a sublimation design using Canva. Canva is a great option to use if you want to make sublimation super simple, and you can use a lot of elements from their designs, which are great. So I'm going to show you how to do this with a completely free account. That way, you know that you don't have to pay for Canva Pro, but I'll link down below if you want to sign up for Canva Pro, because there's a ton of other options that you can get with Canva Pro. So what we're going to do first is choose custom size. Now I always use 8.5 by 11, but I'll show you how to set that up. All I want to do is change where it says PX to inches, and then I want it to be 8.5 wide by 11 high. That's the size of my printable sheet. I'm going to click Create New Design. Now that we have our new design pulled up, we're going to use some elements from their collection to make this design. So what we'll do is select elements, and this is like their different images and pictures that you can use. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use succulent and click enter. Now what's nice about this is you can filter it down so that it'll only show you things that are free. You'll notice some of the options are with like a little crown by them. Those mean that you have to have a pro account to use them, but we're going to use all free stuff. So what I want to do is click this little filtery option here, and I'm just going to choose free for the price and apply the filters. Now you'll see all of our different succulent options that we have with our free filter. Now I really like the look of this one, so I'm going to click on it and send it into my like image here, so into my page. But you'll see that it brings up other ones that are similar. So what we can do is just click on each of those, or you can just click see all, and it will bring up all of the designs that are in that collection, so you can see all the similar items that you have to choose from. So you can kind of pick whatever you want to use in here. Now obviously we're going to size things down, change them up, do all of that fun stuff. So from here, you can kind of go back over into your page and just size your elements the way you want them to be. Now, keeping in mind, unless you can print borderless, you're going to need to leave a little bit of a margin around this, but you can kind of play with these, get them set up the way you want. Now, let's say that we want this little short blue one to go in front of our purple one. Just like in Design Space, if you right click on it, you can actually bring the element to the front. So you can sort of stack things, move things, do whatever you want to do with them. So like, let's say I want this little pink one to go in front of everybody. Again, I just right click and bring it to the front, and then I can kind of move it around. And you may have to bring it to the front a couple of times, or you can also just click on this guy and send it backwards. And then you can send this guy backwards. There's just a lot that you can do to kind of mess around with this, play around, and get to know Canva. This is such a great option that you have that you can use when you're working with sublimation designs. Now let's say we don't want to keep the design, like we don't want that plant, just go ahead and delete it, just like you would in Design Space. Now let's say we want this one to be a little more straight. You can use this little curly arrow thing to change it, and you can make it bigger. And then you can make this guy smaller. You can really do whatever you want. And you just sort of play around with it and see the design that you want come to life. Now again, you can add whatever you want to this, do it however you want. But let's say that we kind of decided, you know what? What if we did it lengthwise so it was wider than it was tall? We can absolutely do that. All I'm going to do is select all of my elements, And then all I'm going to do is simply turn them. You can do this however you want. It's really up to you. You can add more of the designs. You can take away designs. It's totally up to you and how you want it to look. So as I kind of am happy with my design and kind of move things around the way I want them to be, I can go ahead and add some text if I would like to as well. So I'm going to go over to our text panel, which is over on the left-hand side, just like it is in Design Space. They're very similar really when you get to know them. Click on the text option, and you can either add your own text by adding just a text box, or they have other text options, which again, we can go ahead and kind of look for the ones that don't have the little crown. There are some that don't have the little crown next to them, but you can really use whatever you want as long as you have something that is free. So there's a ton of free ones down here. So you can use these if you want to. It's up to you and what you want to do. Now I think this one's kind of fun. So I'm going to use this element. Now I don't want this up to 50% off. We're not going to use that. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that text. I'm going to have this say what the, and then it's going to be succulent. Now you'll notice that the what the here kind of ends up getting a little, I would say kind of off because I want it all on one line. So what I want to do is click away from it, then right click on it, and I want to ungroup. That's going to do just like in Design Space, so I can move things separately and I can spread this box out just like, again, very similar to Design Space. Now what I'm going to do is turn it so that I can fit it on to my image. And I'm just going to kind of figure out where I want this to sit. Then this one is going to say succulent. And I'm going to go ahead and again expand that box so it's all on one line. Turn this. And then we'll fit it into our design. Now I see that that's not fully straight. And we'll just kind of play with this and figure out how we want it to sit. And you can really do whatever you want with this. It is up to you. And you can see there the degrees shows. So when you want to make sure it's fully straight, you can just look for it to say 90 degrees. So now we have this really cool What the Succulent design that we made ourselves in Canva. So once we're happy with our wording, I think I want to make my images a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is just kind of expand those images just a little bit. I would just like them to get just a smidge larger than what they are, just so they take up a little bit more of this blank space that we have. Again, you can really play with these however you want, make them look however you want. This is up to you. Your design, your aesthetic, whatever you want it to be. And you can add whatever you want to this, whether you want to add additional succulents, whether you want to add stars, I don't care. It's up to you and how you want to do it. So I think that looks pretty good. So once we're happy with our design, all we have to do is up here at the top, click where it says share. And under download, choose that. Now there's certain things that you're only going to be able to do with a pro account. So just keep that in mind. So saving as an SVG is for a pro account only. But what we want to do is we can just save this as either a PDF print or a PNG high quality image. The bonus to saving as a PDF print is we can print it directly from the PDF and it comes out great. So we'll go ahead and save it that way. Go ahead and click download, and it does take a second to process its download. So just give it a minute and I'm going to show you guys how to save this. So what I'm going to do is save this into my Sublimation folder, and we're going to call this What the Succulent, and hit save. Then all we have to do from here is just open our PDF. What you'll see now is you have your PDF here, and let me get rid of this download thing so we can see this better. You can see your PDF and it looks exactly like what you had on the screen. Now all I simply need to do from here is click print. I want to make sure, of course, that I choose the correct printer, which is my ST4000, and I want to make sure to turn color on. Then you can go under more settings and you'll see that you have a few things to set, but what I want to do is use this print using system dialog. Again, super similar to when you do things with CRICUT Design Space. So what we're going to do is, again, make sure the correct folder is selected, choose preferences, and I'm going to change my color to high. I'm going to leave this on color, and plain paper, bright white paper looks great for my printer. Then I'm going to go to more options. Now, when you print sublimation, you need to mirror it. I prefer to mirror it when I'm printing, so what I'm going to do is turn off the high-speed print and then turn on mirror print. That's going to print it itself perfectly, and it works really, really well. Back here on the main page, I can choose borderless, and it usually tells me that it's going to be weird at the top and the bottom. I've never had like a print issue with that. So under more options, you'll make sure that the high speed is turned off and your mirror image is turned on. Now you can go into custom and click advanced, and that can help you change your color controls. On mine, I do need to change these a little bit. So change it to Adobe RGB and make sure it's set to 2.2 gamma. Then what I like to use are the slide bars, and I usually will turn my cyan up to about 9. My magenta, I go just a few clicks below that, and yellow, I add just a few clicks below my magenta. That just tends to give me a better color than what I was getting if I didn't adjust my settings. Then all I have to do is hit OK again, and click print. We've got our image printed out, and we're going to use the CRICUT tote bag for this. I just have this random tote bag that they had. This is for infusible ink, but if you didn't know, infusible ink is literally just sublimation. So what we do is we place this face down on our bag, and I want to get the handles out of the way here, and then I just kind of get it all lined up where I want it to be on my bag. Try to get it straight and centered, and then I grab some heat tape. This is Caesar heat tape. This is my favorite of the heat tapes. And then I just got this super cool dispenser, which I'm obsessed with because it actually cuts off pieces of tape for you. So you just twist the little handle and then it gives you pieces of tape. So you want to tape down all 4 corners for this. And then you want to make sure that you have butcher paper. Butcher paper is needed so that your ink doesn't bleed through your paper and get on your press. So what I do is I roll it out and then I cut it to fit over my design. Now you don't have to tape this down or anything. You don't have to do anything special with the butcher paper. You just place this over your design so that it doesn't end up getting on to your press. This is super important. Any ink that gets on your press could potentially press to other items. So you just want to be sure that you have a set of butcher paper over your image. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go heat up our heat press to 400 degrees, and we are going to press this for 60 seconds. Our press is just about ready. So what I've done is I actually have a pressing pillow inside of my bag. That's just going to help keep the seams away from our image to make sure that we get a good quality press. Then, like I told you, I have my butcher paper ready to go, put over my design. Now, all we have to do is press, and we're going to press this for 60 seconds at 400 degrees. We're almost ready to pull this up. So now that it beeps, go ahead and open your press, and you're going to see that you have some blowout. This is why I put butcher paper over my image. Can you see that? Do you see how you can see the black, especially the black? That's why that butcher paper is so important. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove my design. I do this while it's still hot. And oh my gosh, this is so gorgeous. I always get so excited when I see my sublimation prints all finished because I just think they're so fun. Look at how gorgeous, so bright, so vibrant. I'm going to let this cool down and then we can get a better look at it. I wanted to get you guys a nice shot so you could see this design. Look how pretty. So bright, so vibrant. It looks really good. Now this is super bright and vibrant because this is a 100% polyester tote bag. Again, this is from CRICUT. So this is kind of like a tan color, not pure white. And it does have, some nice handles on it and stuff. But this is the CRICUT one, so it is a little bit different than some of the ones like you'll get from 143 Vinyl or from Michaels, things like that. But this one really does work nicely, and I do have to say it's a good quality. It's just a little expensive for my taste. But I think that the colors came out so pretty, and look at how, crisp and clean the lines are. Please ignore if you see any cat hair on here. My cat was just walking on this. But look at how nice. I think this came out so good. So let's go ahead and do our mugs. Now, it's awesome to make some bigger designs, but you can also make designs for coffee cups, tumblers, things like that in Canva. So I'll show you guys how to do that really quick. So I've got about a 3" by 4" area to work with on my bigger mug, and I've got about a 3" by 3.5" area on my smaller mug. So what we're going to do is choose the width of a 3 and we will do the the height of 4 and create the new design. Now with this one, we're going to use a picture from my own collection. So I'm going to go into the elements section and I'm going to search for frames. Frames are a really fun thing that you can use within Canva that make your pictures into like a shape or a cool little design. So I'm going to again filter and I'm just going to choose free and click apply filters. There's so many frames that you can use for free to make your images whatever you want them to be. And you can see there are just absolute endless options. You can do letters, you can do numbers. There's all sorts of things that you can do. There's hearts and all sorts of things. You really can't go wrong with these frames. There's something that will suit whatever kind of design you're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one of these frames to use for my design. I'm going to use just a picture that I have from home to make this. I'm going to go with this kind of like sketchy style design, and I'm going to go ahead and make this much bigger because we are going to put this on our coffee mug. So we do want it pretty big. And all I want to do now is I'm going to go over into where it says uploads, which is just 3 down from the top over on the left. Then what you're going to do is click upload media and find an image that you want to use. So I'm going to choose an image from our Disney trip. I'm just going to pick a random one. We have lots and lots to choose from. We had an absolute blast while we were in Disney. So I'm just going to pick kind of a random image to upload from our trip. Then once it is uploaded, and it will take a minute, you can just click on it and you can put it into your little frame. Now, if you want to like edit this a little bit, like say I want our faces to be bigger with a little less castle, what you do is click on crop and then you can expand your image to make it more of you guys and maybe less of your body and maybe get that 50 in there, whatever you want to do. And then you have your image. This is a super simple way that you can do these coffee mugs. Now we can do a second one, and if we just want to add another image, simply just click this little button here, which is add page. It's going to create a page that is the same shape and size as your other one, and we can do another design that we want to do. So let me show you another fun thing that you can do with the frames. So if you go over into the elements and go back to your frames again, and I'll scroll all the way back up to the top, we are going to use this frame here, and I'm actually going to need 2 of them. So my first frame, I'm going to go ahead and expand it. Now this one's going to go on our smaller mug, so we don't want to go too big, but 2.7 should be pretty good. We could probably go a little bit bigger. We'll go 2.8. Over here in your photos, I want you to just search for whatever you're looking for. So let's see what we can find under rainbow. And again, we're going to filter it so we find only the free items and just click apply filters. There's so many things in here that you can use for free, so don't worry, you'll find something that will work for the design that you want to make. So I'm just going to look here for like a really pretty rainbow because I'm going to make this a mug that has a picture from our trip that is me as Figment. And Figment is all about imagination and rainbows and all sorts of things. So you can just kind of scroll through, see what you find, see what you like, see if there's something that really stands out to you and the design that you want to do. I like this one. I think this one is perfect. Go ahead and click on that. What you're going to do is grab your design and pull it so that it fills in your frame. I'm going to take my second frame and I'm going to make it bigger. And what I want to do is put it so that that first frame becomes the background or the edge. Then all I simply have to do is, like I did before, go over to uploads, upload media, and then find the picture that I want to use, which is this one. Again, it takes a second to upload, but while it's uploading, you can just click it and put it into your frame. Now again, I do want to adjust this a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and click crop, and I want to move this down a little so that I'm more in the center, and I can make this a little bit bigger, but not a whole lot because I don't want to cut off the little wings that they added. I think that looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and do that. That is our design. Now, I don't know, now that I've kind of seen this all together, I don't think I like this rainbow background. Go back to photos and find a different rainbow. I think that the one I chose is a little too dark for the image, so you can just kind of try different things. And all you have to do is just make sure to drag it into that back frame. See how it kind of tries to grab that front frame? Move that out of the way, put it in the back frame, and then you can move your current design on top. And again, you can adjust this image if you want to. Like, see how this one has a lot of greens? You can move it over to see if you like it better that way. So you really just play with it and see what works for you and how you want your designs to look. So again, I'm just going to move this out of the way and we'll try this one and see what we think of that. Again, not really a fan, but this is where you can kind of do your own thing, figure out what you like, figure out what works, and go from there. There it is. That's perfect. So now that I've found the designs that I like, I have these 2 images, and this is what we're going to use for our coffee mugs. I think they're going to be really fun, really cute, super simple to do, and you can really make them your own. Now what I want to do is I'm going to download these. I'm going to download PNGs for both of these, but I want to download them separately. So I want to go to where it says select pages, and I'm just going to select the first page and click done. Then I'm going to click download. Then all I really need to do is go again into whatever folder I want to save it in, and I'm going to call this mug 1, and then I need to download page 2. So I just simply do share, download, choose all pages here, and just take page 1 off, click done, and click download. Once I have both of those saved, I'm actually going to print these using Inkscape, but you can print them in pretty much any program that you want to. I do not recommend printing through Design Space. It wastes space, it wastes paper, it's just not worth the hassle of using Design Space, because we're going to print 2 of each of these images, so let's head over to Inkscape. Once we're in Inkscape, we'll need to import our images. All you have to do is go File, Import, or you can use Control-I. Then I need to go to the folder that I have them saved in. So they're in my CRICUT folder under Sublimation Designs. I called them Mug 1 and Mug 2. So they should be pretty easy to find. Here's Mug 1. Go ahead and click OK. You don't have to change anything there. Then what we're going to do is go to File, Import, and we're going to find Mug 2. And just click OK. Now we have both of our designs. Now, you always want to double check your sizing. So what I'm going to do is up here at the top where you see where it says W, 76, and then it's got the lock, and then H, 101. That's currently measured in millimeters. We're going to change this to inches just by selecting this little down arrow and choosing IN. That's going to give us our measurements now in inches. Now, I'm not super worried about the full design. You just want to make sure that it still fits within the 3" by 4" range, just to make sure that it didn't change the size of your image while we were doing anything. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click on this image, and I want to duplicate it because I want 2 of these, because we're going to use these both on one side of each mug. Then I want to do the same thing with this image down here. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate. I just like to arrange them so I have a little bit of space between them, and I try to take up kind of as much of the paper, as I can. I could definitely add additional images if I wanted to use them, but for now, we'll just use these and it's fine. Now, do you notice how this one keeps wanting to snap to the bottom of that one? Just annoying. If that bugs you, up here in the upper right-hand corner, just click on these little enable snapping nodes, and then you can move these more freely. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to make sure that this is mirrored. You can mirror it in your print settings, or just select all of your images by drawing a square around them, just like you do in Design Space. And then up here at the top is a flip option. You'll see flip selected objects horizontally. Click on that and you'll see that everything flips over. So now the words and the numbers will be the correct way when we put them on to our mugs. Now we just simply have to print this out because it's super simple. I'm going to go File and Print. I want to make sure that my Sublimation printer is selected, which is my ST4000, and then I'm going to go into my preferences. I want to make sure that I change this to letter size, that way it prints the correct size. Make sure it's set to portrait, and I want to change my print setting to high, my quality here. Then I want to go to more options, and I'm going to turn off high speed print. This is where you could mirror your image as well, but I wanted to show you how to do it over in Inkscape. The next thing that I like to do is I actually change my color correction for my ink. So what I like to do is I change this to the Adobe RGB, make sure gamma's at 2.2 just like we did before, and then I want to use the slide bar. Again, turning cyan up a little bit, turning magenta up just a little under that. usually like to go about 7 or 8. This one's just being a pain. And then you want to go with the yellow up just a little bit as well. Again, your printer will be different, so keep that in mind. Then all I have to do is hit OK, OK, and print. Putting sublimation designs on your mugs is also very similar to doing it with shirts and things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out so that I have 4 separate pieces of paper. And I'm going to go ahead and trim these down a little bit just so that you can kind of have a little bit more edge to work with. I don't want them to go over the edge of the cup, and I also don't want them to kind of hang over the handle or anything like that. And like I said, we're going to do images on each side of our mug. Now, you may be thinking, you can't sublimate on a black mug. This is true. However, this mug is color changing. So what's really cool about it is when we go and get it hot, both with the sublimation and then also when we put hot water or hot drink in it, it is going to light up and turn light white, and then you'll be able to see your image. So it's really, really fun. It's a super cool cup, and it really does have like a really neat impact when people want to see your mug. It's so fun. So I'm going to go ahead and we want to use heat tape again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of heat tape right on the back of this, and I'm going to line this up onto my mug where I want it to sit. Now, because I'm doing both sides, I'm not too concerned about like putting it on the correct side or the wrong side of the mug. Typically, you want to put it on, if you're only doing one side of the mug, you'll want to put it on whichever side is going to be out when the person drinks. So regardless of, you know, if they're left-handed or right-handed, that's going to make the big difference here. So if they're left-handed, you want to make sure you put it on the outside where it's going to show. So I want to make sure I tape it down pretty well. I do all 4 sides. Then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to grab some more tape. And it didn't really cut that one very well, but that's okay. We can just rip it ourselves. Every once in a while with this tape dispenser, I get 1 or 2 that doesn't cut very well, but that's okay. It still works just fine. So what we're going to do is then line this one up. And what I try to do is kind of see about how far I placed it from the top of the other side, and then I just get it taped down. I'm going to grab this piece that I dropped, and we'll use that. And again, we're just going to tape down all 4 sides. We'll do the same thing on this mug. I won't make you guys sit and watch me do this because it's literally the same steps for all the mugs. Once you have your mugs covered with your images, it's important again that we use butcher paper. Butcher paper is a really, really important step when doing sublimation. So what I do is I roll out kind of a bigger piece of butcher paper, and then I just kind of guesstimate about how big my mug is. It doesn't have to be exact. This is not a science. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just going to cut it down. Then what I want to do is I'm going to take my mug, and I'm just going to kind of set it down on top of my butcher paper, and I will trim my paper off so that it kind of is the same width around as the mug. You want to make sure that you cover your images with your butcher paper. That's the most important part. So you want to just make sure that it's fully covered on your images. So now what I do is I grab a little piece of heat tape. Again, heat tape is a must-have when doing sublimation. And what I'm going to do is grab a piece of the heat tape, and I'm just going to kind of make sure, just a double checker. I always double check to make sure that my butcher paper fits. And then what I like to do personally is to actually try to line this up with the bottom pretty close. And I don't care if it's too big on the top. We'll address that in a minute. So I just put a piece of heat tape down on each end, and we'll heat tape this down a little bit better here in just a second. But what I like to do is I take my top of my butcher paper that's too big, and I just fold it over. That's just personal for me. I find that because I'm using the mug press, I don't have to worry too much. I'm using the CRICUT mug press for this. I don't have to worry too much about how tight it is or anything like that. The mug press does a really good job at making sure that my image stays on. So then what I do is I just add quite a bit more butcher paper tape. That way it holds that butcher paper down. I just want to make sure that that doesn't go anywhere. because if that shifts, it could also cause your image to shift. And that is something you absolutely do not want to happen, because if your image moves, then you're gonna end up with ghosting and it's not gonna look very good. So I just like to give it a little tapey tape right there. Now you'll see people that'll tape all the way around the bottom and things. I don't do that. I've never had a problem not doing that. Now what we can do, if we don't want to waste our butcher paper, we can just actually cut another sheet to put around this little section here, or we can use, you know, whatever we have. But you can also just cut a new sheet. I always keep those little ones handy because sometimes you need just a little piece for doing a smaller design. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing to this mug, and then we can get everything all pressed. Okay, the mugs are both good to go, so we'll get the mug press over to the table and get ready to press these. We are ready to press the mugs, so you're going to need a mug press of some sort. I'm just using my CRICUT one. There's lots of other options out there. But I also recommend having your heat pressing pillow close by because you're going to want to put the hot mug on that and not directly on your table. So let's start with our big 15-ounce mug, and we're going to go ahead and place this in. Now this one does fit a little bit snugger than the others, and you want to make sure that your design is fully inside of this portion of your press, making sure that your handle is pretty well centered into this opening, and then you're going to press this down. Now I will say with the 15-ounce mug, that press is pretty hard to push down. Now this takes about 6 minutes per mug, so we're going to go ahead and let this go. I'll bring you guys back once it's ready. What we're waiting for now is that beep. Once that beeps, go ahead and lift open your press, and I'm going to slide this over a little bit because I want to show you guys how I do this. So what I'm going to do is pull off my cup out of it and put it down onto my pressing pillow because, again, I don't want to put this hot mug directly onto my table. Now I'm going to take the tape off of my mug here, and I usually just kind of pick a spot and just start. Now the tape will cool down super quickly, so as soon as you peel it off, you can pretty much touch it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and get all the tape peeled off. Sometimes it likes to stick to yourself. It's fun. It's okay if like the paper rips, just go with it. Honestly, if you can get the butcher paper to rip off, that's okay too. And then I just like to kind of get it all off. The next thing that we need to do is take off our sublimation image. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the tape off here. And I still do this while this is hot. I found that this works best. Personally, people wait till it cools, but I did find a lot of ghosting when I did that. So I'm just not a fan of that as a way to do sublimation. Now I think this might have come out a little dark. The picture that I used was a bit dark, so this may be a little bit dark of an image, but we'll find out. It's okay. I probably should have brightened it a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm just going to use these tweezers and peel off the image. It did come out a little bit dark, but it's not bad. It still looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one peeled off really fast. And once this one is done, we'll move over to the next cup. We are ready to do mug number 2. This is our black mug. So all I'm going to do is slide my mug on in. This one should go a lot smoother because it's much smaller than the other one. Go ahead and press this down. I want to try to keep that handle right in the middle. Let that sit. It's going to take about 6 minutes. Okay, now that it's done, pop that open and pull your cup out. And we're going to do the same thing. I'll go ahead and turn this off as well since we're done with it. And I'm going to slide this over so that you guys can see the mug. Now this one is going to look white because it's hot. This is the one that does the color change, so it's really super fun. I'm going to link all the mugs that I'm using down below. You do not have to use CRICUT mugs in the CRICUT mug press, and I actually recommend not using the CRICUT mugs. They're a little overpriced for what they are, and you can definitely get better deals from other brands. So I'll link everything that we're using down below. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. And then all we're going to do is peel the tape for the design. Now again, keep in mind the mug is pretty warm, so you're going to want to try not to put your hand on it. But you do want to get this tape off. That's why I always recommend having a pair of tweezers. These are so helpful when it comes to getting the paper off and the design off. They come out so good. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other one. And then I'll show you what everything looks like. Well, that one did not come off as well. So here's the finished cups. They're still really fun. I do think this one came out a little bit dark, but we can deal with that. It's not so bad. I would definitely use the brightness factor a little bit in my printer settings. But that has nothing to do with Canva. That's everything to do with this image. I've used this picture on a couple other things, and it does seem to tend to come out a little bit dark. I think it's just the picture itself. But the Figment one came out super cute, and you can see how great that black mug really does change color with the hot liquid in it. Such a fun thing to do. I'll link everything down below that we used for our sublimation. If you guys have any questions, let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting!